Thanks for joining me. I'm glad you guys came to my presentation. It's about wealth creation. The FutureMoneyTrends.com newsletter, like most financial newsletters, publications, started off focusing on stocks in general. And what we realized eventually was there's a huge hole in the hard asset arena. And that hole is that there really isn't anybody that's talking about personal finance. It's either one extreme or the other. So you have Dave Ramsey, who will tell you not to buy gold. Debt-free is a good thing to do. But then he'll tell you to have CDs and whole life insurance policies or life insurance. So he's the personal finance guy that's kind of on the conventional side. And then you have people telling you to buy gold, which again is a great thing. And then you have other newsletters telling you to buy stocks. So we're kind of a hybrid in the sense that we kind of look at the big picture and really look at the individual's wealth. So we don't only profile stocks. We talk about gold, we talk about real estate. We try to look at the big picture on what's going to make you wealthy. And 2014 is a great year to invest. All right, a little introduction about Future Money Trends. We do interviews. If you've seen any of our interviews, we try to ask questions that are awkward. So a lot of times we'll ask people like, what's their biggest thing that they've messed up on? What investment has gone to zero? Or how did they create their own individual wealth? And a common theme, of course, is that they started businesses. And that is likely the best way for anyone to make money. And I know everybody wants to get rich from stocks, but I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if I know anybody who's gotten rich off of just investing in stocks. I'm certain there are people out there. Obviously, Jim Rogers. But it's typically from starting a business, and that's the best thing you can do. Our viral videos, this is kind of the thing that changed our lives. We started doing these videos, and it led to the newsletter, and it led to meeting all kinds of great people like Bill Murphy and David Morgan and Rick Rule. This is one of our most popular videos. It's about silver, and it really talked about why we prefer silver over gold. Gold we look at as insurance, but silver is a great investment. Every day we put out a different email, but on Wednesdays I want to highlight we put out a weekly wealth digest. And by the way, our membership, we have a free members area and a paid members area, but this comes to everybody. It's the weekly wealth digest. And again, as you can see in this email, we were talking about 2 to 3 weeks ago about the market possibly crashing. Is this the meltdown that we foresee happening? I don't know. But there's a lot of reasons why the stocks could go into a severe correction. Okay, so if you're like me and you started learning about gold and silver because you were concerned about the economy, the first thing I did after reading the book Crash Proof by Peter Schiff was you go out and you buy beans and rice and you buy ammo and you buy water because you're concerned about the economy. But you're not concerned about wealth creation. You're concerned about wealth preservation. And this is one of the things that I think people have to change their mindset when they're worried about the economy, because you can still make money in this economy. In fact, because the problems are so big, it's the opportunity to make money is better than ever. So, everybody here is probably familiar with this chart. You got U.S. national debt ballooning, rising exponentially. Unemployment, it's not doing well. Labor force participation rate, it's down to 1978 levels. You got out of control spending. We're up to the point where if you cut all spending, all federal spending outside of the mandatory spending, you cut the entire military, stop sending checks to Congress, we would still run a deficit because of our mandatory obligations and the interest on our debt. So you see all of this stuff, you see the inflation chart, every word that comes out of this guy's mouth, who I'm a big fan of, but you start to get really bearish and really concerned. And I talk to so many people every day who are 100% gold or 100% silver, and there's really not wealth creation with that type of mindset. You'll eventually become a doomsday prepper. It's a great show. I can't believe these people actually go on TV and do this because it seems like you would want to keep that stuff secret. Okay, so I want to talk about investing. I am not an investment expert, but I talk to a lot of experts every day. And I think what I try to do is basically learn their lessons. Most of these guys have been through vicious cycles in the stock market, in the resource sector, and I think those are the perfect people to talk to. You want to talk to people who are doing what you want to do. I started buying mining stocks several years ago, and before I go any further, there's an investment disclaimer our attorneys wanted us to have. The mining stocks typically suck, if you haven't noticed that. And I'm not talking about the juniors or the last 3 or 4 years. When you buy Apple or IBM or McDonald's or Coca-Cola, those are some companies that you know will be around in 50 years from now. And you also know that you can almost set it and forget it, because those companies aren't going away. A lot of people think the last 3 years have been bad in the junior space and mining sector in general. But look at 1994. Newmont mining was about 20 or 40 bucks. Today it's about 20. Barrick Gold, about $25. Today it's 18. Now you see it had a huge run, so there is a time to invest in these kind of companies. But in general, mining is not that great of an investment. 2014 is the ideal year because these things have been beaten down. And it's not just, you want to buy something broadly, but you need to focus on what you're going to buy. You need to become an extreme stock picker, an extreme business partner. Everybody's familiar with this chart. It's down 80%. The TSX Venture Exchange, home to the mining companies, it's down over 50%. These are the top 3 trends that Future Money Trends is following and recommending people get involved in as far as creating wealth. Gold, we typically look at it as an insurance vehicle. Everyone should own some physical gold. But right now, gold is selling for less than the cost to produce it. That's a great deal. You would never walk into Walmart or any other business and find them selling things for less than the cost to produce it, especially if that was their only good. So if you look at these gold companies, I've seen numbers even higher. I've seen numbers as low as $1,200, and I've seen it as high as $1,600. Silver, I've got it pretty much on the low end. $20 to mine it. I've seen numbers as high as $29. We're able to buy it for about 20 bucks today. Uranium, it's probably the most extreme. The mining cost is $65. Rick Rule told me this morning, actually, that it was about 70 bucks. And the spot price is 35. So this can't continue. This right here is what gives you safety. When you're buying a commodity or a business that produces a commodity and you're buying it for less than the cost to produce it, that gives you a huge margin of safety, because now it's not a matter of if silver is going to go up or gold or uranium. It's a matter of when silver goes up, when uranium goes up, when any of these commodities that get upside down like this. When this happens, in fact, David Morgan, was talking to him probably a year or two ago. He's become a good friend and mentor. And I remember David telling me that I think when he was a young man, he read a book, and it talked about this exact scenario, that if you're going to make money, one way, the for sure way to make money in the mining sector, in the commodity sector, is to buy when they're upside down like this. As anyone will tell you that's a good investor, it's really about the people. I've heard so many great stories over the last several years from mining stocks. And a lot of times you look into the backgrounds and it's like a guy who was an investor relations person, which is like a company spokesman, and now he's the CEO. It's a team of geologists that have never discovered anything. And I've learned that about 5% of the geologists are making all the discoveries. 95% of them aren't making any discoveries. So it really is about the people. If anybody's ever listened to Marin Katusa, he's one of the most disciplined stock pickers. He focuses on the people before anything. And I guess the point I'm trying to stress, if you're going to create wealth, you want to partner with the right people. And that's what you're doing. When you buy one of these junior companies, you are becoming a business owner. You own part of that business. And so you want to make sure, just like you wouldn't go into a private business with somebody you didn't know or somebody you didn't have the right experience, you don't want to do it with these companies, especially these companies, because they're very speculative. So I want to tell you guys a story about a few companies. And I think it's pretty remarkable, 2014, the opportunity that presents us today. Because if you look at the entire sector, it's beaten down. The good companies have been beaten down, and the bad companies, hopefully they're going away. You know, I have a lot of different advertisers on the Future Money Trends site. I see a lot of companies. I talk to all these guys. I personally own 2 mining stocks, just 2. And it's because I think you need to be extreme in this sector. Unless you're Rick Rule and this is what you do, or David Morgan and this is what you do. But if you're just here on the weekend and this is probably the most mining CEOs you'll talk to in a year, I think you need to be really extreme where you put your money. One of the stories I want to tell you is about a gold company, but I want to tell you in a way where we started a gold company because I want you to see the value in some of these companies that are out there right now, especially the good ones. Let's say we started a gold company about 3 years ago, and we put together a pretty good team of geologists who discovered more than 10 million ounces of gold in that region. We got the former head of exploration of BHP Billiton, the largest mining company in the world, to be our CEO. Then we pulled together some board of directors in that region, one of them being the head of the oldest merchant bank in that region. About a year later, we acquire a project that has over 1 million ounces of gold. By the way, when we started trading, we were trading at about $1.10. About another year later, so we're 2 years into this thing, and we acquire an entire gold company. We get about another 3 million ounces of gold. So now we've got about 4 million ounces of gold. Now, if you and I had started that gold company and it wasn't publicly listed, and you asked yourself, when we started this company, we had nothing, and now today we've got about 4 million ounces of gold, we've made some acquisitions, we've even raised close to over $6 million during the worst bear market of the last 15 years. If I told you that's what we had accomplished, you would absolutely have no doubt that we were more valuable today than we were 3 years ago. But because of the bear market and just the craziness we've seen in the junior market and gold and silver market over the past 3 years, 3 years ago we traded for $1.10. Last month we traded for 50 cents. Today we trade for about 75 cents. Those are the opportunities that I'm seeing. The other company that I've invested in, and when I say invested, I'm all in. My mom's in these stocks, my dad, my sister. These are good companies backed by the best people. So the other stock is a uranium company. Now the uranium thing, it fascinates me because everybody hates it. Because everybody hates it, because you know it's unfamiliar, but people recognize that Fukushima happened, so they don't want to touch it. Well, that's exactly why you should want to own it and have exposure. The problem with uranium is there's only about 10 or 11 producers, and only about 4 or 5 of them are publicly listed. You don't even have access to uranium producers. And so when I looked at the uranium market, it was about 4 years ago. It was probably the first company that we ever profiled, and this is actually pre-Fukushima. The company traded for about $7, and today they trade probably for about $1.60, $1.70. But since Fukushima, since they hit $7, they've become the 5th producer in the United States. Think about that. There's only 5 uranium producers in the U.S. About to be 6, but right now there's 5. They've doubled their in-ground resources. All this has happened. So you go back. Are they worth more now than they were 3 years ago? Of course they're worth more now. And that's the opportunity that you have right now in 2014. In 2014, you can buy silver for less than it costs to produce it. You can buy gold less than it costs to mine it. You can buy uranium stocks that have just been, nothing's been beaten worse than the uranium sector. So you have some huge opportunities in 2014, and you have that margin of safety. If you're buying silver for less than it costs to produce it, you're going to make money. Let's say silver goes to $10. Well, mining companies start going out of business. They're already hurting. Just to recap, and one of the things that we stress at Future Money Trends is to invest in yourself, invest in your own ideas. It's kind of funny. Everybody who makes money with a job or a business, they always have this desire to reallocate the capital, to give it to somebody else, to give it to a broker, or to give it to a CEO who's running a company. But actually, your best returns by far will always be the investments you make in yourself, whether it's your own personal and individual education that makes you a better investor, a better person, or an actual business. You talk to any business owner, there's no way any mining stock return or any stock return in general has ever beaten somebody who has a successful business. There are plenty of businesses out there that have been started with less than $1,000 that are million-dollar companies today. And that is ultimately going to be the best way for you to create wealth. Partnering with the right people. And again, this goes into being extreme with the companies that you buy. Don't just use a shotgun approach and have 10 of them and say, oh, maybe 9 will go bankrupt and 1 will do well. Look, partner with the right people and you'll sleep better at night, because even if we're in a bear market like we've been the last 3 years, they're going to move these projects forward because they know what they're doing. If you'd like to subscribe, you can subscribe to futuremoneytrends.com. We also have a day trading site, Crush the Street, and we have a Bitcoin site, Banker's Worst Fear. It's a very controversial topic probably in this room. But if you look for alternatives, when you're looking to avoid government fiat currencies, or as my friend Trace Mayer called it, Bernanke bucks, but I guess we should call it Yellen bucks now, Bitcoin is one alternative. Future Money Trends started covering it around $13. Unfortunately, I didn't buy it at $13. It's probably because at $30, I thought it was in a bubble. But it keeps going up. And I went to a Bitcoin conference, I guess about 3 or 4 months ago, and I was shocked at how many people showed up. It was all business owners, entrepreneurs, really smart geeks. I have no doubt the next Steve Jobs was in that room. And what was amazing though, what really I think what people are missing when they just write Bitcoin off, and this is before Overstock.com started to accept it, but what people missed about this, and what I was missing, is how big it is, how big the network is. And I'm talking about the people. They were doing conferences in Brazil, in Europe, in Asia. They had just come back from Paris. They're doing them in New York and Orlando. So this is a big trend. So again, if you'd like to subscribe, you can check out futuremoneytrends.com and you can learn about our other sites as well. If you'd like to know about the 2 companies that I mentioned, the gold company or uranium, our booth is 414. We have information there. We also have our smart money reports, and we have extra income ideas. One of the things that we provide our members with is extra income ideas. Now, these aren't ideas that are going to make you rich, but these are ideas that can make you a few extra $100 to a few $1,000s a month. Some of the ideas, if not most of the ideas, have actually come from our own members. You wouldn't believe some of the ways people are making money, and they're practically doing nothing. We have ideas, that are difficult, like starting your own blog, and we have ideas that are really easy, like Bitcoin mining, or there was one idea where people were there's all kinds of sites that allow you to put something on your vehicle and they'll pay you. In fact, Yahoo will even pay you to drive around their little bug. So there's all kinds of ways to make money out there. Don't let this economy scare you out of wealth creation. Don't let everything. It's true. Yes, the national debt's out of control. Something bad ultimately will happen. Something will change. But 2014 is a great year to make money, and especially if you're at this conference. This conference and other conferences like it have seen lower attendance recently. Just to give you an example, in San Francisco, I was at a show that usually has about 200, 250 companies show up. In November, they had about 61 companies show up. That gives you an idea of where we are in this market. But that should excite you. It should excite you not that they sell for pennies. It should excite you that you have the opportunity to partner with good people in a time that has just obliterated or destroyed these stocks. A lot of people speculate, but when you think about it, right now in 2014, you don't even have to speculate. You can buy the good companies at a severe discount. The good companies are down 50%. So now you don't even need to invest in some speculative company to see a 10-bagger. You can invest in a great business and get a 10-bagger. So that concludes my speech. Thanks for listening, and please check out futuremoneytrends.com.